Senator from
5 years and
Oregon.
2 days ago, the Capitol Police protected us as a team stormed the Capitol. Many other forces came and defended the Capitol as well. And it was more than just stopping folks headed towards the Capitol to try to interrupt the county votes. It was protecting the peaceful transfer of powers, which goes to the heart of a republic. In 2022, we passed a law saying we would put up this plaque to recognize the valiant efforts of the police officers. But the plaque has not gone up yet. So I'm here to team up with my colleague from North Carolina in order to have a strategy to make sure that we do get this plaque up until the House and Senate can reach an agreement. And therefore, Mr. President, as if in legislative session, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of S-Res 580.
The clerk will report.
Senate Resolution 580, directing the architect of the Capitol to prominently display in a publicly accessible location in the Senate wing of the United States Capitol a plaque honoring the members of law enforcement responding on January 6, 2021, until the plaque can be placed in its permanent location.
Is there objection to proceeding? Without objection, the Senate will proceed.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, and the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to yield to my colleague from North Carolina. I'll have some comments following his comments, and we also have the Democratic lead on the Rules Committee here who would like to weigh in on the importance of this action.
Mr. President.
Senator from North Carolina.
I came to the floor on January the 6th to make sure that we convey our undying gratitude to everybody that played a role. Senator Merkley and I were here in the chamber, and what we saw there was a parliamentary staff being focused on the job, not worried about themselves, but worried about getting the ballots that we were to certify into safekeeping. We saw the Sergeant-at-Arms staff do an extraordinary job of marshaling people around and getting them out of the building. We saw the Capitol Police spirit us away from this chamber over to the Hart Building and secure us literally without any risk of any of us being harmed. Having said that, we walked by several Capitol Police officers who were injured. They had been hit. They had been been crushed indoors. You know all the reports, and yet they did their job that day. So when I heard that apparently the law that we passed to recognize them and to place this plaque had a technical implementation problem, I went about seeing how we could clarify things, and I found out that my colleague from Oregon, Senator Merkley, had a similar concern. So two folks who came together to say, let's provide some clarity here. Now, the one thing I will tell you, this is the plaque, but according to the Capitol architect, the technical problem that apparently the House identified, which I think they can cure fairly quickly if they think it's a concern, is that the plaque was to include the list of all the individual law enforcement officers who came to the Capitol on that day. This plaque actually has the names of various law enforcement agencies, but the reality is there's a digital component to this, which I understand once it's implemented will have the list of each and every person who answered the call. And I think it's good that we actually have all the agencies here, because you'll see how many people came here to, again, I'll close on this, be a part of withstanding what I would consider to be one of the most significant stress tests for this institution since it was founded. And just keep in mind, we came here. We heard thousands of people storm this Capitol. People died. Police officers were injured, hospitalized. One died shortly after January the 6th. A lot of people said that was a dark day for democracy. I would leave you with this. It was a great day for democracy because of the law enforcement officers, the people that kept us safe, because you know what we did when confronted with thousands of thugs storming this building? We took a brief recess. We got ourselves together. The Capitol was secured, and before we left this compound, we came back and completed our constitutional duty to certify the election. And if that's not a good example of where parliamentary staff, cloakroom staff, sergeant-at-arms, and Capitol Police being a part of helping us withstand the greatest threat to this great institution, we owe them eternal gratitude, and this nation is stronger because of them. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Recognize the senator from Oregon.
it was an extraordinary moment to be sitting here in this chamber and see a member of the staff team run down the aisle to the podium, speak quietly to the Vice President, have the Vice President immediately gavel down the session and depart through the side door, and then to see police officers from the Capitol Police immediately engaged, working to lock the doors, to protect this chamber. Whole team set up to ensure the safety of the members of the Senate, and the same thing happening over on the House side. And then within a few hours, as my colleague from North Carolina has pointed out, the Capitol was secured. But in the process, 170 police officers defending the Capitol were injured. And as a consequence of the attack on that day, 5 died. It was no small movement, not a peaceful protest outside, but a storming of the Capitol with some brutal assaults on folks within, the police officers within. So it's so important that we fulfill the vision of the 2022 law and get this plaque up to honor those police officers. What this resolution is saying is we in the Senate will put it up here in a publicly available space until a deal can be reached with the House of Representatives to display it. Both chambers have to agree on that, but to put it up here in the Senate in a place where the public can see it, that we can do here on our own, and we intend to do it. That is the right thing to do. And it was a shocking thing to me this week because simultaneous with discovering that this plaque had been stashed away in a room out of sight somewhere and that there was an agreement to display it, I also saw the White House posting saying that it was an fiction that the Capitol was assaulted, that it was just a peaceful protest outside. It's so important we be honest with the American people about what happened. It's so important we recognize those who defended our democratic republic on that day. It's so important that people know that we came back as senators and House members and finished our work that day for the peaceful transfer of power, which is essential to the future of our democratic republic, that we succeed in that every 4 years. We've all taken an oath to the Constitution, and that's one of the most important functions, preserve a Constitution, the integrity of the ballot box, the beating heart of a democratic republic, and the subsequent peaceful transfer of power. So I am deeply honored to be able to...
Mr. President, would the gentleman yield?
I would yield, yes.
Senator Merkley, the one thing I neglected to say, that's why I should bring notes when I come down to the floor, is that I also want to thank the Republican leader, Senator Thune, because he has agreed that we will be able to display this until the final location is in place, and I appreciate his help in doing that.
I'm so glad my colleague mentioned that, because for us to take action here, we have to have bipartisan work, including the leadership on both sides of the aisle. So while neither my colleague from North Carolina nor I are in the leadership of our respect, at least I'm not, but we worked with our leadership to make this happen. And so this is an example of bipartisan cooperation on a very important point. So with that, unless my colleague has more to share from North Carolina, I'm going to yield to my colleague from California and thank him and his leadership on the Rules Committee as we work to get this point of bipartisan partnership to get this plaque honoring the police officers from many groups, most, of course, the Capitol Police, but several other groups that came to defend the Capitol, make sure they know how much we appreciate what their sacrifice was to defend democracy on that day 5 years and 2 days ago. I yield to my colleague from California.
Senator from California.
President, I want to thank Senators Merkley and Tillis for their bipartisan cooperation in honoring the law enforcement officers who responded on January 6th, 5 years ago. I also want to thank them both for their comments on Tuesday, 2 days ago, recognizing the 5th anniversary of the attack on the Capitol. As Senator Merkley mentioned, I am the ranking member on the Rules Committee, which has jurisdiction on this issue, and I can attest, having been here for the votes on the original action, that there was bipartisan and bicameral agreement on this plaque, and bipartisan bicameral agreement on its intended location following the enactment of the law. Now, for the last several years, many people have been confused by the delay in mounting it as planned and directed by Congress. Many even believe that the Speaker of the House never intended to follow the law and honor these law enforcement officers who bravely defended the Capitol and our democracy that day. And I know that sounds a little cynical, but as Senator Merkley mentioned, you got to understand that part of the context here is the White House's new website that says that the Capitol Police were the ones who deliberately escalated the situation on January 6th in their attempt to rewrite history of that day. That dishonors the officers, not just the members of the Capitol Police, but all the law enforcement agencies that responded on that eventful day. So I'm more than just personally pleased to see this resolution move forward and that the Senate's bipartisan commitment to real history is strong. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.